What? What's up, man? What are you doing outside, huh? I forgot. I forgot you're outside. A hell of a view. What's up, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? What are you up to? I thought I heard someone crying. Anyone crying? You guys crying? Probably. Jerry Bill's crying. You guys all crying. What is it, Diana piercing? Boy. To my swagger. Hey, thanks for the gifts. What's up, guys?
I just didn't want to hate the job anymore. Okay. Like, I knew I wanted to try my own thing, but at Barstool, if I was making 60 grand a year working for myself, it wasn't happening.
Did you ever think that this possibly could work?
I got a job about 6 years in. I got a job, drove to work there at lunch. I cannot, I can't do Barstool. I get a chance, can't do this. So one day, lunch, drove home, and went back. But I mean, I wasn't really money. That was great.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you get by?
Grinding. Like I moved in with my in-laws.
Okay.
We had no rent. Like it just the paycheck to paycheck trying to survive. But it was literally like nothing.
At the time, did your wife like, babe?
She made me get the job. She made me get the job. To her credit, she stood by me, and it always felt in my gut this is what there's like there's something here.
Yeah.
But to turn the corner and actually do it took a long time.
Did you create fake ads?
Yeah.
To get around with companies like?
I was early. Like Morton Steakhouse, I put in a rival. Like Fleming's, Morton's,
Like Chris.
yeah, they called. They in the actual place would call me like it was Fleming's. There's a steakhouse in Boston. They'd be like, "We didn't advertise in your paper. Why are you in there?" It's like, "Oh, my sales guy quit. I don't know what happened," and then we take it out. But the thought was, "Hey, if Morton sees Fleming's, then Morton's want to get in there."
Right.
So yeah, and we did. I would do anything. I would do anything to try to get somebody in the paper.
But you also created fake emails with extra people like, hey, we got a big ass staff.
Correct. So do you want someone to advertise and know that I'm the head writer, I'm the founder, I'm the sales guy, I'm the marketing guy? So I had like 10 different aliases. Yeah.
This is bad.
And we had no outside money until 2016. We started 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a very long time not to make a whole lot of money. A lot of people probably after 12 years will give it up.
Yeah, I mean, we started around by 2016. We were doing pretty well, but yeah, I didn't know what was out again. I would rather work for myself and not make as much than hate waking up and hate life.
So you didn't really turn a profit. You started in 2004, so you kind of turned a.
I watch this. I never watched the Club Shay Shay. At least not that. Well, actually, I watched the Cat Williams. Looks like Aaron Rodgers is going viral.
Shaq with Angel Reese when he's like, I want to see her playing in her underwear and like run up that. If I said that, I'd be in jail.
Oh, yeah.
In jail.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. One slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding
Shay Shay. I am your host, Shannon Sharp. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay. Stopping by for conversation on the drink today is one of the most influential people in modern sports. He created a company that's now worth more than $500 million, a pioneering force in the new age of digital media, a business mogul and a trailblazer, a media magnet and an icon, a social media star and an influencer, a bold, no-filter media star, outspoken personality, a powerhouse spokesman, host, producer, writer, director, philanthropist, a pizza aficionado, a University of Michigan alum, a wealthy entrepreneur who built a multi-platform empire, founder and operator, owner, sports and pop culture company, Barstool Sports, El Presidente, Dave Portnoy.
Quite the intro. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that intro. I like that.
Bro, we gotta talk, bro. I gotta talk to you, man. For you to be able to do what you've done, I mean, for you to have the vision and to see it through.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. I said I wasn't gonna drink this, but I don't like any, but I'm doing it.
No, this better. But I'll let you tell me before you go.
I probably won't have it for a little time after this, let's say that. I'm more on like the high noon speed, but when in Rome.
Do it the Roman.
Yeah.
Bro, thank you. You built Barstool into a $500 million empire. Started off doing 4-page newspapers, which is a dying dynasty. How did you have the vision and the forethought to do what you did?
So I didn't have the vision. That's the easy answer.
Okay.
I just didn't want to hate my job when I woke up.
Okay.
Like, I knew I wanted to try my own thing. But at Barstool, if I was making 60 grand a year working for myself, I would have been happy. But anyone who said they had vision back then is probably lying.
Right.
Because, we started as a newspaper before MySpace existed, Facebook, TikTok. So for anybody to know what the internet was going to be, they're lying. We were just always really quick
Right.
and kind of moving and following trends. But I had no idea it would turn into this.
You handed out newspapers on the subway platforms, street corners of Boston, yelling at people. How many papers did you think you handed out a day?
Probably 5,000 to 10,000. We had a circulation of 30,000, probably at the height. So I'd wake up, you see it any city corner, and just hawking papers outside the Garden. I grew up in Boston, South Station, subways, just working.
Because a lot of times people get it, you're taking it, throw it on the ground.
Oh, that happened. I count that. If you took it, that counts. Yeah. You can ask how many ended up. But if you're going on the subway, right?
Right.
You're just looking for anything
Right.
So you get as many hands on it as you can.
Tom McShay started out as one of your earlier writers, and you custom built websites, and the newspaper went digital. How did you know, like Todd, how did you decide who you were going to pick to write and who were you going to start the staff?
So I went to high school with Chicks.
Oh, okay.
That was a hard-ass choice. Yeah, I was in his wedding. So we weren't paying anybody when we started.
Okay.
He got involved in sports before I did. So he was already maybe just starting on ESPN a little bit. So he just helped him aside.
Right, wow. So, is it true that you started putting women on the cover, bikinis on the cover, and that's when the newspaper kind of
That
took off?
is true. So there's a photographer in Boston. He's like, have you ever thought about putting a girl? Maxim was huge at the time.
Yes.
So
They used to have big parties at the Super Bowl. I don't know if they still do
They
that.
still do it, I think. It's
But not to the
down.
level.
Yeah, when I was back in the day, Maxim was like the it party.
It was.
Yeah, so he reached out to me, the photographer. He's like, have you ever thought of putting local women? Maxim, you put, they're at sleds.
Yes.
So we started putting, I'm like, no, I haven't. But if you want to do the photography for me, do it. Knock yourself out. And he came over, did it. It was a local girl. Well, that started getting people's attention. I'm like, let's do it again. And that kind of, you know what it really did for us back in the day? Like Bud Light, Miller Light. They paid no attention. When I started Barstool, I'm like, oh, we'll get all sports advertising. We didn't. When they saw pretty girls, like, if you know where the girls are, the guys will follow. So it actually opened doors advertising-wise.
Wow. I read that you had models handing out the newspapers, started having models hand out the newspaper. Before that, you had homeless people actually handing out the newspaper.
Yeah, so the first week we launched Homeless People.
Okay.
Labor Ready was the name of the company, and I was driving around, and they were just drunk, not paying attention. They didn't do anything. So we fired them after 1 week. And then I'm like, you know what? If you're a guy walking off the subway, would you take it from a pretty girl or a homeless person?
Right.
Pretty girl. So we lasted that for maybe a month. So put girls in little jerseys and handed them out.
During that process, what did that teach you about advertising?
rocket science. It didn't teach me anything. I knew guys like pretty girls. Like
Yes.
you're gonna take a newspaper.
Right.
But it didn't teach me really anything about that. It's just really expensive to do it. But you know that was no lesson.
But let me ask you this. Have you listened to your fan base over time? Because you said the guys follow the pretty girls. Where the guys are, that means advertisers are gonna come. Because those are the guys that drink the beer, eat the, take the products or do whatever.
Yeah, I have listened to. It's a fine line because I'm sure you know. The people who hate you and don't like you are often allowed. It's
Yes.
if you suck at this, you're not good at that. So I don't let that bother me. But the beauty of what we did in a newspaper, more internet, is like the internet doesn't lie. You see the numbers; they're going up. So I'll always follow that. As much as people like the chirping and noise, somewhat, I trust my gut a lot.
How did you know not being politically correct, you could win doing that? Now, over the last, say, decade, but Barstool is way older than a decade. How did you know that not doing always the right thing could be a win today?
Yeah, so that's how I am. Like I'm this maybe northeast like Boston. Like I'll say do whatever, and I'm fine. I'll stand on 2 feet and stand with it.
Right.
It really wasn't intentional. Like it's just me being me and us being us. But we did get to a point where we built this loyal following, and it's like I knew I had them. And if we were honest with the audience, they'd follow us anywhere.
Right.
So that was always an advantage.
And that means that there's a lot of people out there that doesn't want to be politically correct, that have to be politically correct, but they have someone that, you know what, he's not politically correct. I like him. I like what he's doing. I like what he's saying.
So we always had the advantage. I didn't have a boss. Like,
Oh,
so,
okay.
you know, if you're in a corporate world, it's great to think one way and want to be this, but if your boss is like, you know what, you're gonna get fired, you can't do it, that's a lot of different pressure.
Right.
We didn't have it, and we didn't belong, we weren't beholden to advertising, that was also huge. So advertisers can be like, hey, you gotta watch what you say. We had early Barstool, our money was coming from our audience, selling t-shirts, doing events, so we didn't care. If an advertiser's like, we're gonna drop, it's like, all right, see ya, like, we're gonna just keep doing us.
There were not a whole lot of models out there that you could follow. So who did you look up to that says, you know what, I kind of like their business model. I kind of like the way they do things.
The early guy who I looked up to was Bill Simmons.
Okay.
So I'm a Boston guy.
Yes.
This is before he went to ESPN. His
Okay.
writing style was more like, this is interesting. I reached out to him trying to get him invested in Barstool, be part of it. Obviously never happened. But it wasn't so much a business model. Like I came from a business side. So I was always like, if I could sell ads, do this, I just want to enjoy my life. But I wasn't looking around and be like, that's the model. I think we became the model, not on purpose, but there wasn't much like us.
Well, I'm kind of thinking you was going to say Howard Stern because he would kind of say, do
Yeah, and we do get compared to that. I was never a big Stern fan
Okay.
growing up. So but we get that comparison and got it throughout the years all the
Right.
time.
You know, I heard that you're kind of like a combination between ESPN and Playboy. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it's an interesting assessment. I mean, we have the TNA. I mean, ESPN. I think ESPN's moved more probably to our side of the street in terms of like letting people fly. And
Right.
even like I saw, you know, and when you and like no, it was Stephen A. No, it was you and Herbie going at it.
Yeah.
Like that's Barstool.
Right.
Like we'll let them fight it out.
Right.
And I
Right.
couldn't even tell them like, do these guys really not like each other? Is this like a show? That's Barstool.
Even teammates?
Oh,
Because like in like the Barstool, I'm feeling like, and we're going to get into this later, like when you had Buzzing with the Boys, you had Part of My Take, you had this one and that one, and you all under one umbrella. I see us as teammates. You would let them take shots at you?
Oh my God, we eat each other a lot. The most vicious shots are internal.
Okay.
And like, I mean, I just got here, like, I just watched a Taylor Long clip at the Super Bowl, and he's talking to Patrick Mahomes. He's like, hey, we're leaving Barstool. They are leaving.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you'll come on our podcast right now. I mean, to me, that to me is like, he basically put Patrick Mahomes in his mouth. Like, he basically was like, let me roll over, pet your belly, and we go at each other. But it is real. People think it's fake. In the end,
Right.
we're all one team, but yeah, we attack each other.
Is it true that early advertisers, basically they were offshore illegal betting sites that weren't illegal in America, so you like reached out and got those dollars?
So I've always loved gambling.
Okay.
So before I started Barstool, I actually flew to Vegas, interviewed in casinos, like how do I get in this industry? And I used to bet. So I talked to these offshore casinos, said, you how do I get involved? And they said, create the newspaper, we'll advertise in it. And that was the early advertising we had that got us, like when we launched, no girls, no nothing. It was just really fantasy sports, that type of thing. We pre-sold the ads for a year, 2 years, party poker, and we morphed after that. But yeah, that was our early advertising.
Did you ever get frustrated? Did you ever think that this possibly couldn't work?
I got a job about 6 years in. I took a sales job, drove, worked there, at lunch. I'm like, I can't do Barstool, give it a chance and do this. So one day, lunch, drove home, never went back. But I mean, we didn't make money for a decade.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
How did you get by?
Grinding. Like I moved in with my in-laws.
Okay.
We had no rent. Like it was paycheck to paycheck trying to survive. But it was literally like nothing.
At the time, did your wife like, babe?
She made me get the job. she made me get the job. To her credit, she stood by me, and it always felt in my gut, this thing's like there's something here.
Hey, what's up, East Coast Realtor? How you doing, man?
It took a long time.
Did you create fake ads
How's it going?
Yeah.
to get Rob to come like?
I was early. Like Morton Steakhouse, I put in a rival. Like Fleming's, Morton's, like
Chris?
yeah, in the actual place would call me like it was Fleming's. There's a steakhouse in Boston. They'd be like, we didn't advertise in your paper. Why are you in there? It's like, oh, my sales guy quit. I don't know what happened. And then we take it out. But the thought was, hey, if Morton sees Fleming's, then Morton's want to get in there.
Right.
So yeah, then we did. I would do anything. I would do anything to try to get somebody in the paper.
But you also created fake emails with extra people like, hey, we got a big ass staff.
Correct. So do you want someone to advertise to know that I'm the head writer, I'm the founder, I'm the sales guy, I'm the marketing guy? So I had like 10 different aliases. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. But it seemed like you had a plan. Like even though it wasn't successful early, you had a plan and you had a fortitude to stick to it. That you know what, it's gonna click. I just gotta give it time.
Yeah, I keep going back, and some people say I'm being humble. I thought it was working. Did I ever dream it would be something like this? I think I'm a smart enough guy, and a way to monetize. And if you really hustle and work your ass off, you can probably carve out some sort of living for yourself.
Yes.
Did I know that the internet would hit right when I needed to hit it? Did I know that like social media would hit and things like right time, right place, right guy, all those things?
How much would you say it cost you to start Barstool?
No, I'm always not much, maybe 30 grand max. That's where I had to buy the racks. That was the only expense really, the racks to put the newspapers in.
Let me ask you a question. How did you start? How did you come up with the name Barstool?
So Barstool Sports was supposed to mean, and this is the early internet 1.0. I looked for websites that were allowed. It's supposed to mean anything that a guy would talk about sitting at a bar watching sports.
Okay.
That was what it's supposed to mean. So I went through like 10 names. And that was the one that was available.
Did anyone invest in Barstool besides yourself early on? Maybe your parents, maybe siblings, or anybody like that?
Parents helped with the news racks, and that was it. And we had no outside money till 2016. We started 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a very long time not to make a whole lot of money. A lot of people probably after 12 years gonna get it.
I mean, we started around by 2016. We were doing pretty well, but yeah, I had a normal job. Again, I would rather work for myself and not make as much, and I hate waking up and hate what I do.
So you didn't really turn a profit. You started in 2004, so you kind of turned a profit.
2010, maybe 11, around there.
So you started making good money. Now, I mean, it's not no retirement money.
No, good enough money. We did a concert tour in 2010.
Okay.
We had a kid who was Sam Adams was his name. He was like a kind of local rapper, basically guy. And we had never been outside Metro Boston. We did a 10 tour of colleges like URI, UMass. We were going to frat basements. I basically wanted to see, do people know who we are?
Yeah.
UMass, the Mullen Center, they called me and they're like, hey, what is this concert you're doing? Keep in mind, I'm going to frat basement to do it. They're like, we're getting calls for this concert you're doing. It's like, yeah, I don't know, we're going to frat. They're like, would you ever think of doing it in the arena? It's like, I can't afford that. We won't do it. It's like, well, what if we set it up way, very little risk? So if you're willing to do it, fine. We sold out in 5 minutes. Like, sold the arena out. That was when it kind of clicked. It's like, there may be something going on here that I'm not totally aware. Showed up these campuses,
Right.
signs on the roof. It was crazy.
So let me ask you a question. When did you know Barstool could become a legit company? That you know, you're like, I got something.
Probably that tour around the 2010, 2011. And then I'm probably making 7 figures by 2012, 2013. It was hard time. Like, if you wanted to advertise with us, you almost had to know somebody. Like,
Right.
we weren't selling. You had to find, like, I remember we were in this fantasy space and gambling, I've had DraftKings. I met with like the founders of DraftKings way back when, FanDuel, and you had to know somebody to get me on the phone because we were just happy. We were like, all right, we're doing well, we're happy where we're at. But around then, I knew we were here to stay.
How did you develop this loyal, rabid fan base?
It's day after day. So when we started the company, I used to blog 10 to 15 times a day. Like every 45 minutes, something new up. We're on top of sports, on top of everything. And you just build a trust with your audience. If they're seeing you every day, they start just becoming almost like your friend. Like when I see our fans, they think they know me.
Right.
So you just build that up over decades. You get a very loyal core audience.
So basically, you would say that college is where you kind of like grew. It's like when you did this little college tour and you went to UMass and you had that arena and you sold it out. So you would say probably college, would you say college kids, early 20s?
Yeah, it was everything. So I started this thing when I was like 25, 26.
Okay.
I'm 47 now. So it spans all ages and different people's their lives. Like we have people who have kids, we have new college kids. Just depends where you get us. I think
They were college kids, but their husbands and fathers now.
yeah, it's everything. And even like when I started, as a young professional,
Right.
There was a lot of people who just graduated and now went to the workforce and like that.
Why do you think college kids resonate? Why does Barstool resonate so much with college kids?
I don't really know. I mean, we were talking about college age. We're doing ratings at college parties, and I mean, even now we have like handles on social media that just cover that college. But obviously, they like unfiltered. We're unfiltered.
Right. Frat parties, you had concerts. Were you in a frat?
For about 10 seconds. So I wasn't big into the hazing part of it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I like the Russian part of it when they're kissing your ass. But proves into like, go get me a beer. That's not really me. So I was
How did you know, but you didn't want to be a part of that, but how did you know the fraternity culture so well?
I didn't. I mean, the fraternity. And sometimes people say different. I don't know if fraternity culture is like human nature. Like guys like hot girls.
Yeah.
Guys are going out to try to get laid. Like a lot of that is part of what we were doing. Talk about parties, but it was everything. I mean, we talked just as much about that as anything else.
And it seems like that, and I don't know if you still feel this way, but you were the director, the antithesis of what ESPN. How did you know to like create something, say, you know what, whatever they do, we're going to do the exact
It
opposite?
wasn't on purpose. Like that, you know. I guess people may look at. I mean, ESPN and we've been doing it for so long. ESPN's actually changed a bunch of times, probably since we've been doing it this last 20 years. It wasn't. They're just more buttoned up. And in early Barstool, anybody who came from a network to us, we had some issues with because they needed a producer to tell them to say this and that, and we don't do that.
Right.
We hire people we think talented, let them run wild.
You off the cuff, bro.
Yeah, it's like we're not gonna tell you what to say. You're gonna love what you're talking about. So it wasn't. We weren't trying to be the different. And I had no problem with ESPN until we had problems with ESPN.
Because you look at ESPN, they got fancy studio guys are normally buttoned up. They're normally, suit, tie. You guys are very informal, very casual. T-shirt, blue jeans, short. Hey, I'm more interested in what you say, not what you wear. That was always your.
So I heard a story that ESPN once had a meeting about us when on the come up, and it's like, how do we be more authentic? Like Barstool said, wait, boss, like you are having a meeting on how to be authentic.
Right.
There was nothing. I'm not planning what my studio looks like. That's what my life looks like. So it's just we didn't think about that. We didn't care about fancy cameras. We didn't. It almost the bigger we got, the more I had to keep an eye. Like we don't want to look polished like
Right.
ESPN. Like that's not who we are. Just because you can do it doesn't mean we want to do it. That wasn't an early thought.
Is part of my take of pardon the interruption,
Yeah.
first take. So you got pardon and take, and so boom, boom.
ESPN's so stupid, they sued us the first day. Got sued. They went through, sent a cease and desist because they couldn't done for us. It was 100% a mash of that. Like that's what we were doing. And then we posted,
Oh, you posted it.
Of course.
That's the worst thing you could do.
Just send a letter. Idiots. Like,
Because you're gonna post it, and then all of a sudden everybody's gonna like, well, let's see what's going on.
yeah, they could have, again, we've had that multiple. Goodell's been one, but that was perfect. Yeah, and it was like tipping our hat to them. It's like homage to that.
Right.
But yeah, have changed. Like, again, I think a lot of things, it's much more free flowing. But yeah, generally, sports media people, I think there's double standard.
Okay.
Let's say the Flake game, right? One of my cornerstone.
That's in your cross.
Yeah, that's one of my like cornerstone events, and they're killing Brady. And I remember Sal Powell. He's on CNN or what? I mean, ESPN acting like this is like world news, being like Tom Brady is an UGG salesman, winning by UGG. They're not
And
going to
y'all
buy
believe that
UGGs
it
if they
is
don't
literal?
trust them. It was so dumb. So I went to this media day, and I see Sal Powell, and I take my mic, I'm like, Sal Powell, what do you say about Tom Brady and UGGs? No, I don't talk to the media. I don't talk to the media. It's like, you are the media. Like, that double standard drives me crazy. Like, you're going to talk about people. Media are celebrities,
Right.
no different than the athletes.
How have you been able to surpass Sky Sports, Fox Sports, and social media following?
Because we're born from the internet. Like, we're probably the first digital media company. Like, who are the heads of Fox? How old are they? What do they look like? We're all young guys. Who we hire come with a true, proven internet record.
Right.
You don't get to us unless you're young. Like, when you, like, I've been looking at crypto. I don't understand it because I'm too old and it's like hard. If you have a crypto guy who's probably older than 25, like, he's probably not a great crypto guy, right?
Right.
So if you look at the internet, these are network guys who have come up doing it the same way, same.
You guys crypto guys.
We had, we're figuring out as we went.
Do you believe that's a mistake that linear is making? Is because those guys came up in linear, they don't understand digital, they don't understand social, kind of like these, say, 23 to 30-year-olds.
100%. Like, even, I mean, eventually things will change, but like if you look at a NFL game, why does everything look identical on the sets? Eventually, it's the same way they've been doing it. 100%. They're just, this is how you do it. This is the way to do it. We're not going to change. We know more. So 100%.
What do you think the future of sports media is? Is it more what you do?
100%. I'm gonna look at you. If you would think that you could say some of the things that you say, whether it be not on the main network and then go on ESPN, that's a relatively recent development in my mind that you can have that. They're letting them, even like Stephen A. with his own, that didn't happen not too long ago where like you just weren't shaking them.
Was your goal always to create a media company?
No, it was to have a job that I liked waking. Then we got to a degree of success. It's like, what do we want to do here? Is Boston replicable? Can I hire other guys and create the success in Boston? And then it became a media place where it's like, let's try to create other personalities, which I think, for my money, obviously, this is my company, I think we've, in this new last 20 years, created probably the greatest stable or biggest, like if you brought back everybody, whether it's McAfee, Alex Cooper, busting with the Bulls obviously are leaving. You have Waldo and Gilly, me, Dan, like we have A-list people who come from the internet. Jenna Marbles is one. You know who that is? No. Jenna Marbles was like giving up 1.0. Like she was the first YouTube girl. So we've launched massive stars. And at some points, like I think we have the platform that we can no one else is trying to like actors. No one hired his ass out of Coles, no one wanted.
What have you learned about building a media company? I mean, can if somebody say, you know what, Dave, we need you at University of Michigan call, say, Dave, we want you to teach a class on how to go about building a media company, how to build a conglomerate.
I got no clue on that. Honestly, I think what we've been good at and what I've had an eye for, and they're not all home runs. It's like a band, almost like a record label model. Like you're gonna miss, but if you can get some hits, we have a good eye for talent.
Yes.
Whatever that may like, we need people. Like if I see something, I'm like, do I click off of it for seconds, or do they have me for 10 to 20? And if they do, that generally means there's something there. Like you're just interested in what's going on.
How many employees show personality do you say you think you employ at Barstool?
I think about 400 right now. Total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever think you could grow a company to have 400 employees?
No, I don't even know. It's just we got bloated a little bit, but we have a lot of stuff going on.
Well, how do you manage? Because you said, look, you are who you are. How do you manage so many different personalities?
We have different people who help, but the personality, that's the word. The talent business sucks. I won't recommend that for anybody. That's one of can't afford it. It's like a sports team, SNL model or something like that. But your agent there, Michael Klein, I think he owes me his whole life. We're being honest. Like, well, me, he doesn't exist. So
You might need to invest in his business.
yeah. I'd like to know how he runs that business, but it's you let people be themselves.
Okay.
We try to see if they rise above, like if they start getting traction, we just give them whatever they want, resources. You want to fly to, I remember we had these two guys. They were there for a week, and they wanted Porzingis. Like we want to go find his family and where is he from? Lithuania. Yeah, they flew to Lithuania. I had no idea what they're doing. So we just let the creators create and try to put the resources behind it, and then we let the internet decide. It's like, all right, do you guys like them or not?
How would you describe your workplace?
Chaotic, competitive, petty, all those things.
What that you mentioned, like, okay, I'm watching this person, whether or not I want to hire him. Does what I hear him or her speak, click, move on, or do they like, okay, I have something?
It's that. And I don't even have to like it. It's just like I haven't really seen this. He's just caught my attention for whatever reason. He's saying things I haven't heard. Yeah, that really is it. And it's rare, but you see it. And again, you can be wrong plenty of times. But there's just something there. It's like, why am I staying more than that 1 second almost to see what's going on here?
Why are you okay with firing people publicly?
We do everything publicly. Who did I fire publicly?
You get, I don't know if I could be the kind of boss you are, Dave. I mean, you cut, because you cut, I think I'm a little bit more compassionate.
I'm trying to think, who did I fire? I voted for my guy. Who did I fire publicly? Francis? I tell people to fire, yeah. I don't know if it's like, everything we do is public.
Right.
So like, if you've gotten to the point where you got fired by me, you've earned it.
Yeah.
Publicly, I'll do anything public. Don't come to my, like if you're in my world,
Right.
you gotta, content, everything's fair game.
What is your response when people say, man, they don't pay enough, man. They need to break bread. I mean, he getting the whole loaf and he passing out crumbs.
Those people are full. Finding that person who said that and that, like, I mean, you'll have certain things. We've had a like Caller Daddy. Do you know who that is?
I do.
So yeah, she's turning into a monster. We found her nothing. She has nobody. We signed the two of them to $100,000 each, right? Her and Sophia. Thing exploded. 6 months later, they're up to $500,000. It's not a 3-year deal. You can go be billionaires when you're like. That's what we do.
Right.
Like we don't own you after. Go make all. But the peanuts thing.
Why did you like sign to a 3-year deal, maybe like a year and a half in, say, hey, let's redo this deal?
We were redoing the deal. They're tough to deal with. You got athletes, same way, holdouts, this, their talent. And they look at it, and your talent looks at it. Hey, I got a strike when this is hot. They don't give about us. We pay as good, I think, as any media company. And I mean, you got 12 dealing there, crying, popping bottles with how much they're making. Alex got 60. McAfee's making 10s. We pay. That's the biggest misnomer in the world.
Okay.
We pay. I mean, you're huge.
I'm a free agent.
Let me, all right.
I'm just throwing it out there. We don't have to negotiate publicly, but I'm just saying. Free.
What are you free?
When you want me to be free.
Are you really free?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like when? You're on like.
I no parole, no probation, nothing.
I mean,
Free.
You're probably very expensive right now. Our model generally is the reverse. Like we find the guys, build them up, and then leave, as opposed to like get them at the top because you pay the premium. Like I don't know what, like you coming to us, for example, we're not gonna make you bigger. You're huge. So like our secret sauce is if you're talented, we'll make you huge. But you be good on the networks.
What have you learned about negotiating?
I'm not a big negotiator.
You say, are you a take it or leave it type of guy?
I have a price that I know works for us, and if it's not good enough, like what are you gonna do? Like the Boston guys, just 3 years, $30 million on FanDuel. That's more than we can do. So good luck. We great relationship, but I'm happy. sound good. 40%, they got the back.
Let me ask you a question. How do you go about structuring your deals? Okay, you find somebody clearly when you offer them, they're not making that money. So if somebody go give me a min guarantee, MG, 100,000 plus, I mean, 80, 20, 90, 10 as far as revenue with ads, that's a lot of money to a person that's making 30,000.
So most of the time we do it, they're not as huge, but they're full-time employees for us. So we basically own your IP, and it's no different than a sports contract. Like, you sign for a certain amount of years, you can have incentives, we're happy to rip off if you're doing good. At the end of the contract, if we can't pay you what you want, then you can go get a better deal, which is exactly, Bus is the perfect example, Alex is, McAfee, they're one after another.
Well, you got to tell, I mean, you have an eye. I mean, you got a hell of a GM.
For this space, yeah.
Oh, you can't, you don't think you can pick sports stars?
I mean, it's a different thing. Listen, I'd love to like own a team and try it, but yeah, for this space, yeah, like even when you start popping off, like I didn't know where it was just something that this spreads you're like, oh, I'm not looking away. There's like something going on.
1 million followers.
Who do you think the next big sports star is?
Wow.
So what level? Who do we say is like a real unknown?
Yeah.
Hard. I don't know. All the people I know of are known. They were unknown. You know, yeah. I mean, we just hired Rudy.
Yeah.
Who was already top of the game, and obviously at Philip, he's a monster. He's right back at the top. He's just unbelievable.
He can talk.
He can talk. He's somebody you don't want to look away. And I've met a bunch of different people, bro. And it's like they don't have it. Like you can see why he got where he did.
And he can tell stories. They need people that can tell stories.
And count, like again,
Yes.
can we turn the channel on
Yes.
this guy or not?
Right. You mentioned Gruden, and he had $100 million contract. That guy, I think they're in mediation right now, trying to get that resolved because he got let go. I think he has still like 6-7 years on the deal.
That's
So
right.
they're trying to figure that out. So how do you go to a John Gruden because you know he got X amount of dollars? Is it a situation where you know he likes to talk, he has something to say, and you want to give him that platform in order to say it?
Yeah, so for him, he started putting out videos. So, and I just saw it, and right away I'm like, oh my God, again, I'm not turning away. And we reached out. We're like, would you ever be interested in talking? Flew out to Orlando, actually, met him, hit it off, and he was ready to go. I think he was ready to just get back in the sport.
Are you afraid of losing him to coaching?
I'd be stunned if he's not an NFL coach at some time. He gets stunned. I don't think it's gonna be like tomorrow, but the guy lives and breathes football, so I think that's what he loves.
Let me ask you this. There are some emails that got leaked. Well, I don't know who leaked them. Maybe you know who leaked them. Maybe he's talking to you about he have an idea of who he thinks leaked those to damage his reputation, his credibility. Are you surprised he got fired because of that?
No, not in the way that it sounded like it went down.
Their feet dirty.
This is my theory before, but false fidelity is like football.
Well, that is good.
And as someone who's coming from that, I know that guy can hold a grudge a little bit. I don't think he loved that. He's like, oh, this guy, and he got caught up in that whole Washington thing, and suddenly the only emails being leaked are about him.
Right.
So I think they're like, we're gonna get this guy out of here.
Wow. You mentioned that feedback and what he's been able to do. You talk about a punter, and he was a very good punter, but punters don't normally parlay what they did on the field until media careers off the field.
Yep.
That normally belongs to quarterbacks. Maybe high-level players that had a big name when they played, and they parlayed on that name moving forward. How do you think McAfee has been able to be so successful?
It's talent. Like, I mean, the second you see him, he was a super talented guy. He was very funny and very talented as a punter in Indy.
Yeah.
He was already kind of like,
He had that swag, yeah.
yeah, kind of like an indie legend. But I remember I heard him. He said he wanted to be like WWE champion like 3 days after I met him. Like that's one of his goals. He worked his ass off.
Yeah.
But combine all of that with he's super talented. So that's why.
How were you able to build around? How were you able to build around him?
So what he did, Barstool was already huge at the time. We hired him and we put out, hey, we're doing a casting for McAfee. Like, and just all Barstool people showed up. He picked the team he wanted around him.
first one?
Well, the first was that Jim Marvel.
Okay, Jim.
Then, I don't know.
Was it Alex or P-Man?
I think it was Alex, then McAfee, probably now Bussin, probably forgetting a couple others. But yeah, how do I feel about it? It's bittersweet. I think it's an endorsement of what we're doing. Like a new person coming up and hey, look at these. They all went and got multi-million-dollar contracts. So we're a good place to build that career. It weakens us and it's pressure because when someone leaves like that, you gotta replace them, find the next guy. Again, I keep saying it, it's very sports team model. Like you can't pay everybody the max salary.
Right.
Because then you're not gonna have no office, like you're gonna have no one. So that's what it is. And I know that going in, but it still sucks.
McAfee said, well, he left Barstool Cart because of lack of transparency with the business operations of the company.
Yep. I think that part he and I disagree on. Now, there are certainly something to be said, like maybe a check was late or anything like that, but
The check late.
yeah,
The check
like,
can be late that day.
but it's like
I got operations, I got people got to pay.
yeah, no, he's making plenty. It's like a commission check. We gotta wait.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like they're getting not like his regular salary. And he was kind of in a hybrid. So let me give you an example. PMT, Pat McAfee. If our salespeople are out pitching it, and at the time PMT is dwarfing McAfee, which it was at the time, obviously no longer. He wasn't a full-time, he got like a share of what was sold, PMT didn't, but it could appear to an outside person, well, they want all the sales to go to PMT as opposed to me, because they don't have to share the commission. Sales guys don't give, sales guys just want the commission, whatever these.
Yeah, but when they sell, they want to sit up on top.
If the client is like, I'm doing PMT, our salespeople aren't gonna be like, whoa, go to McAfee because we gotta do that. So I could see how he would say, maybe it wasn't transparent, but in no way were we trying to screw McAfee, anything like that. He has said that about the business. At the same time, they're like, I like Dave and Eric. I don't agree with that part of it at all.
You mentioned Alex that you lost her. Do you remember that last conversation that you had with Alex?
The very last one?
Yeah.
I still talk to her time to time. No, there was nothing specific with her. I knew the deal. And almost everybody who leaves us will take a hometown discount.
Right.
Because they like working. It's kind of like, Compton will talk about, it's like you leave the NFL and we're kind of like a team. There's a lot of us, we bust balls, locker room vibe. But she told me what the offer and it's like, if you can get close, I'll stay. And we couldn't get close.
Yeah, because first like 60 million, then 125, and then she just got another thing.
Yeah, she's a mega star. And she's somebody like the first time I met her.
Right.
I saw her sizzle reel. And she's like, I learned how to edit. Done, signed up. Let's do it. So self-motivated, very smart.
What made her special?
That what I just said. So like you see a lot of people who don't put in the work to learn how, like, and the beauty of nowadays, there's a lot of people, I get 100 emails a day. Hey, I'm super funny, I fit in, I can do this, I can do that. All right, show me your reels, show me what you've done. Zip, they got nothing. The people, the internet, you can go do it. You can be self-motivated. You can put out 100 episodes. You can do whatever. So she was self-motivated. She knew what she wanted to do. She learned how to edit. She had a very, motivated, clear vision of what she wanted. And it was unique. People hadn't done what she did at the time.
You heard of speed dating, right? You meet a bunch of people in one go, quickly making connections. Well, what if I told
What the hell? Sizzle. Sizzle reel? What is sizzle? Is that a I don't know what sizzle is.
Knew I hadn't seen anything. It wasn't my cup of tea, but when I talked to her the first time, I was like, "Who made that sizzle reel for you?" She's like, "I did." I said, "What do you mean you did?" She's like, "I learned how to edit and cut it. I made it myself." I'm like, "Okay."
Then we're saving money on that part of it.
But just showed she was not like she there's something going more behind the scenes, and she's crafty. Like people can say whatever they want about her. She's smart and crafty. You don't accidentally get to where she is unless you're like very on top of it. So, but we hired her and let her do whatever we want. You guys, we never say like, "Hey, do this, do that." It's like find creative people and let them do whatever they want. When I saw the Alice Cooper thing,
What's her sizzle reel? I won't be able to find it.
Back on my career with Colin Thackeray, thinking about the first episode that I ever wrote, you don't need to have all the answers in the beginning. One night, I was sitting in my bedroom and I got a call from my fitness health center. And my doctor told me that my results came back in for my recent yearly exam. And lo and behold, I had it. I had contracted HPV. And he proceeded to tell me that the strand that she had was one of the kinds that the vaccine does not protect against. Like an baby.
What? There's no what I'm looking for. What is sizzle? Is this a hosting file? Oh, it's just a type of reel. Shows how much I know. I don't know what all you guys are saying to me. Crazy people. Toi segui. Voilà. I'll pass. Hey, this is a fall, man. What's everyone doing on Twitter? X gonna give it to you. Jeez. What the hell? What's up, everyone?
There's something just like that, but for hiring. If you're running a business and need to find great talent, imagine meeting several qualified candidates at once, all at a designated time. Well, good news, there is Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You can post your job today and start talking to qualified candidates tomorrow. And right now, you can try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/JShay. Zip Intro lets you meet and assess excellent candidates through back-to-back video calls. Pick a time that works for you, and Zip Intro takes care of finding and scheduling the perfect candidate. Then you get to choose who you want to meet, and you'll be talking to great people as soon as tomorrow. It's that easy. Enjoy the benefits of speed hiring with new Zip Intro, only from ZipRecruiter, the #1 hiring site based on G2. Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/JShay. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/JShay. Zip Intro, whose jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. I had a college coach told me that I thought about transferring when I became a college All-American and conference player of the year. And he said, it's not our job to get you ready to go play somewhere else. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because they come to you and a lot of these people are really unknown. And then all of a sudden they grow into these mega superstars and then they leave.
Yeah, it sucks. That's why I wouldn't recommend anybody getting into town. It's like, one of our biggest stars right now is my dog, Miss Peaches.
She ain't going nowhere.
And I never have to renegotiate. So that's like, you want to get in the dog business, not the human business.
Are you surprised she got as big as she got?
It happened so fast, that caught me off guard. But no, once it went going, and once you start that mountain, she became like almost a female Oprah. She
Right.
had these huge guests, and she's got Kamala and like that. So no, I wasn't.
But you still do business where you have her merch, right?
That ended. We used to.
Wow. So let me ask you this, because you got a model for merch. How did you do that? How did you come up with that model?
That's it. Like, yeah, I told you in the beginning of the interview, we had the homeless guys selling
Yeah.
shirts. I mean, handing out the newspapers.
Right.
I bought a bunch of T-shirts that said Barstool Sports on them so they could wear it. Well, they lasted 1 week. I was stuck with these shirts. I had no money. The shirt in the newspaper. Hey, buy these shirts. A couple of people bought them. I'd actually count. Hey, we sold 7 shirts this week. There'd be a little picture. So day one, we were just selling merch, hustling. obviously they're around iconic moments.
I was thinking about the other one, the commissioner with the nose.
That's huge. You know, the clown nose, huge.
How did you come up with that idea?
So there was a shirt that we sold, Charlie Sheen, winning. Like I think
Winning?
Yes. So we sold that. It was on a similar blue T-shirt, and I just stuck the red nose on it. And then we had, I mean, Patricia wore it on the plane after they won the Super Bowl. Sean Payton wore it when he got suspended. It became like a basically.
Yeah, 10,000 likes.
The league just took off. We did this event at Foxborough. First game after they won the Super Bowl. Goodell's back at Gillette. They're playing the Chiefs. We had 40,000 towels printed with the little clown nose on it. And we did an event a week before. I said, Patriot season ticket holders, I need you to show up at this warehouse. I'm going to give you boxes. You hand them out. Crafts called me. They heard about it. They're like, you know, we don't let anything come into the stadium. You're not allowed to promote for free. We're just going to turn the other cheek on this. We're going to let these come in.
Wow.
Yeah. So that took a life of its own.
Have you ever met Roger?
Never. Put me in cuffs twice.
You think Roger would sit down? You think he willing to bury the hatchet now?
I don't know. Maybe now. At one point during COVID, he did a charity auction.
Mm-hmm.
And it was you could sit in his basement, watch Monday Night Football with him. So I did 250 grand, won the auction. And then I got an email being like, we did NFL security, did our background check on you. You've been arrested twice. We're not gonna let you do it. You didn't have to do background check. I've been arrested twice by you guys. So,
That's the background.
that's the background. You didn't have to go dig that. So that was a little bit ago. The thing about it, it's been good for us. If he sat down at the end of it, like, I mean, what's gonna happen? So I don't know. It's been an interesting saga with him.
Are you still banned by the NFL? Can you not go to the NFL sanctioned event?
I don't believe we're allowed in media day. Like a couple years ago, they had a picture. It looked like we were like building kids. They had gang. They had posters up with like Barstool employees, dude, be on the lookout for them to.
Restock my car with me with my favorite snacks. There's nothing worse than being caught out and about in the afternoon and needing a quick.
With ESPN with Super Bowl events, but I only do it if the Patriots are in, which by the way, I still hate. I've gotten over it, but your little like call the National Guard thing. There's no way I'm like very aware of that.
Dave, you couldn't have been more than like 16 or 17 when that happened.
It was before we had really gotten going, and you guys were in the height of it. But yeah, I hate that speech.
Hold on. Caleb Presley, I mean,
Gone.
Damn.
I lost him too.
yes.
You know, these gambling companies, they're if we know how much we're paying people and how much we make, and someone's gonna overpay by 50%. Now, it may not be an overpay for underdog, because I don't know their business model, but I know how much we made, and if I can't just lose like 10 million a year.
Right.
We can't.
Yeah. Because you can only sell so much.
Yeah, it's like I go to our salespeople, like, how much can we possibly make on this guy? And I'm happy to even get close to breaking even.
Right.
And Caleb wanted to stay.
Right.
So, but
They just made him an offer he couldn't refuse and you couldn't match it. It's got to be okay.
it is. He at one point was like, I told him, I'm like, I think you gotta go. He's like, I'm not gonna go. Like, we hired him out of college. I saw him running down the North Carolina sidelines with his long blonde hair. I'm like, who the hell is that? And so we recruited him as much as we recruited out of college. He was with us, I don't know, 7, 8 years. So, but at some point, everyone's gonna get paid.
Hello. Tom Brady signed it? Did Brady
Yeah.
sign him?
Yeah.
Oh, the Brady your guy. He can't skip.
But you can do, like, you know when you do a murder mystery, you have strings on money.
Yeah.
Almost everything comes back to us.
Yeah.
Your guy, Silver Lake, Brady's company, they're all underdog, they're
Yeah.
all Barstool people.
Right.
We were so early, it's like all Barstool.
But Dave, said, man, you got it wrong about that.
A lot of people go wrong, but I didn't know what to expect with him. Like, I'm still pretty friendly, like, I'll text him now all the time. I think he's one of the most, what I was expecting to walk through the door, 180, one of the most impressive, like, none of his success surprised me in the least after you get to know him.
I think the thing is the public persona versus the private persona is totally different.
I remember he told me a story when he was like, man, when he was coming out of college, he's like, you know, he saw the pomp, circumstance. He's like, I researched where guys at my position got drafted, and they weren't getting paid. And where he's like, I knew I had to do something to create my brand and my image, and brilliant. And he's a brilliant, smart. He's literally one of my favorite hires we've ever had.
You signed $1 million worth of games, Wallow and Gilly. How did you know about them before you signed them? So how much did
He
you
had
know?
a guy, Rome, who's a battle rapper, white kid. He's like basically the real life version of like Eminem. So he's from Philly, and he's like, hey, there's these two guys you may want to go look at. So we went to Philadelphia, sat down, had dinner with them. Wallow was out of jail for like 5 seconds. We met him, and I remember him being like, I just hustle T-shirts on the side of the road. Like, that's how I'm making money right now. He had his own gear.
Right.
And again, it's like, that's what we want. Like,
That was kind of the model you
yeah,
started with.
exactly. It's all right. And we're so clicked. We got along. They're crazy. And I mean, I don't even know what the hell Gilby's doing now. They'll run out of the tunnel. That's crazy. That's crazy. I see him doing it. It's like a mascot. So, and again, it's like we hire him. We try to put our gasoline behind them. They're a new demo for us. I don't think most people would be like, oh, Barstool was urban. And then you let them do their thing.
Right. How has that investment paid off? Because normally, I mean, have you made any bad investments? Because we hear about Caleb Preston, we hear about Thackeray, we hear about Buster, we hear about Alice Cooper, we hear about all these.
Yeah, I mean, we those are big contracts. So you have to be really, really proven at that point to get that type of deal for us. So it's hard to do bad contracts. So those guys, Wall and Gilly are one of the highest probably contracts we've given out. They're already there. And at the time, if we're being just totally honest, a lot of people have the first conception of us just a bunch of white guys.
Yeah.
So there's a diversity ad that they had even,
Yeah.
not only being super talented.
Y'all wonder about that DEI stuff.
Yeah, it's not DEI. It's not DEI. Like, you know, we tried to hire before, it's the guys on, before they went to Showtime.
Oh,
All Smoke? No, Jesus and Romero.
oh, okay.
Like, before anyone knew who the hell they were. And even like, we did talk to all that smoke. And sometimes.
Y'all didn't talk to us.
What's that?
Y'all didn't talk to us.
You didn't exist yet. No.
We was free. When I got let go by Fox, we reached out to
No,
them.
they were before Fox.
Oh, yeah.
No, we were talking like pre-COVID on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we didn't reach out. So,
Like-
well, I didn't honestly know you were let go by Fox. I knew you were doing the skip,
Yeah.
and then showed up on ESPN.
I was like, wow, don't nobody want to see Jay.
But you kind of like, I feel like opened up after the Fox. Like you were more like, I don't know if this is gonna sound bad. I felt like you were second fiddle to Skip.
Yeah.
And then once you got off that show, boom.
Well, we didn't have Nightcap, so Nightcap allowed me to be a
I think
different
we
person.
talked to Ojo at one point.
Yeah. Zach Bryan, why you had to did this song for him?
So he's dating a girl that was on my podcast. He was dating Brianna Chicken Fry, right? Who is a girl who blew up kind of social media. I was doing a TikTok podcast with her. She got paid, offered a $12 million NDA not to talk about the relationship. I saw the NDA. So in my head and based on what she said,
12 million?
12 million. She turned it down. She turned it down because she wanted to be able to talk about the relationship. To me, that's somebody doing real scumbag behavior. So this track came out.
You hold grudges, don't you?
Like you don't believe.
I believe.
I believe champagne bottles with my enemy's names engraved. I'm Skipper, the CEO of ESPN.
Yeah, John Skipper.
Yeah, so they canceled our ESPN show without telling us after one episode. I was mad. Made a champagne bottle. Like 2 weeks later, busted for the coke thing, which makes no sense. That story got held hostage by a random coke dealer. Anybody believes that story is out there.
You don't believe that, huh?
Found a ring. Yeah, John Skipper, you found a random coke dealer on the side of the street and he's holding you hostage, or after? No, I don't believe that story.
So what the hell you think happened? Because the man, he wielded so much power in ESPN for such a long period of time. Nothing ran through ESPN without Skipper's blessing.
Something happened. I don't know. I wasn't there. I think there's probably a lot of backstories, skeletons, maybe. I don't think it was a coke dealer.
Yeah.
that forced him out.
We're talking about busting with the boys, Taylor Lamont and Will Compton. How did you know they could be special?
Saw an early episode of theirs, and it was just raw, real, and we reached out to them. We're like, hey, you guys are doing something we really haven't seen. Would you be interested in coming on board? So I think we had them for about 6 years. It's been great. I actually love those guys. It sucks they're leaving the bus balls, but they just had that in, and Will's a monster. A lot of times what you find, Taylor's great, and this isn't really your case, but a lot of times what we found is the guys who were athletes who maybe didn't make all that money. He didn't. He was like, bounce on, getting cut.
Yeah.
They come in the media world and they're just ready to go, working their ass. This is their career. They didn't make it. Will's a megastar.
Yeah. Did they learn how to do this? Because I think they're doing something now.
Yeah, they all learn.
A better laptop? All right, let me. What do you mean by that? Why? Then I can make better videos? Or like, then I can go live on my laptop? Because yeah, I can't really, like, I do have a Logitech camera, but why do I need a better laptop? What are you saying? I need a better phone because on TikTok my video comes in pretty crappy. I'm using my old phone to go live on TikTok. I use a different old phone to go live on X. You know? Thanks for putting socks on. Why? I was just cold. What are you guys doing?
Make me more money.
So let me ask you this: is that it seems to be like this? It's the gambling deals or the deals that they get once they leave you that they don't get, and they feel they don't get when they're under.
Here's what it is. So we have a gigantic, all-encompassing DraftKings deal.
Okay.
So DraftKings pays us a ton of money. They don't necessarily, if Boston's with us or not with us, that doesn't change a cent of what Barstool makes.
Okay.
So another gambling company can be like, hey, we can pay you all this money. We have no way to make that up. If it was a different advertiser,
Right.
if it was a liquor, we could incorporate it, give the money to them.
Right.
But in this case,
It's a gambling deal.
yeah.
That's opposite of what.
Correct. And we have an exclusivity, and DraftKings is paying us the same, whether Boston's here or not Boston's here. They carry me, Dan, and some people, so it puts us behind the eight ball. And these guys have infinity money. These gambling companies right now, they're spending like wildfire.
They do.
Yeah. Do you know how to gamble? Yeah. Does he not?
So they want to split the revenue with you.
Who?
Listen, so like you said, you have this deal where you have an all-encompassing gambling deal.
I'm
So
gonna go back to your gambling.
it's not very good. I don't really want to talk about it, but that's never good. So you have this all-encompassing deal, and so basically with Barstool, we're gonna give you, let's just say, I'm throwing out a number, $70 million, and so you're like, okay, this show, I'm gonna give you guys $2 million of this. This show, I'm gonna give you $1.5 million of this, and this show, I'm gonna give you $3 million.
Yeah, it's still
Now,
fall.
there's different people. Some people, like, if you advertise with me, you get, or pardon my take, that doesn't get cut at all. Those are like shows we own.
Right.
Spit Chicklets, yes. Bussin', yes. But there's no way it's gonna be near what they
When they
get.
can get on their own if a gambling deal just reached out directly
Correct.
to them.
Yeah, and then they can still go sell their other ads on top of that.
Right.
So I think Will and Taylor said they would take 40%. Like they are getting 40%. And I mean, Will was calling. He's like, how can I stay? And I want it. I made the most aggressive offer I've made at Barstool to keep them.
Yes.
And I just couldn't do it. You get to a point, it's like, how much,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you can't do it.
If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars.
That's a good.
So what have you learned from each situation, talent leaving? Because it doesn't seem like, if I sit here with you, Dave, it doesn't seem to me that you bear any animosity.
It's how you leave. Like, I had a problem with Jen Harlow's the way she left, when she left. But as long as you do the right thing, I know it going in. Like, there's, if somebody left for less money or similar money, even then, I'd be like, why? Like, don't we treat you well? But I can't really begrudge any of them because I do the same thing. Like, if that's me, I'm probably making the same decision.
Right.
So, but it does suck.
Do you ever regret, like, man, bro, we put this gas behind you, bro, we blew you up, just like you do your boy?
No, I mean, the call her daddy thing.
Yeah.
That became a real situation, and it could have ended really ugly, and it didn't. But maybe it's maybe petty. Like most of the people graduate, like when I say graduate, they'll come back. They'll be like, yeah, I owe Barstool a lot. Like, thank you. So no, I don't really have that. And I'm a petty guy. I almost have it on lesser people, like people who's like irrelevant. If someone goes and like, there's a guy at Underdog who tried to poach our like producers. That drove me nuts. It's like you wouldn't even know who they are if you didn't work here. That's a little different. Talent who's on contracts.
Right.
Like, no, it doesn't.
Who shocked you the most that they left? Have you been surprised by anyone that they ended up leaving?
Not big names. No, not on the talent side. I had like a guy who was like worked for went to work for the Empire State Building. That's like going to work for bricks. That's but not on the talent side because again, we pay.
Perfect physique. Hey, thanks, man. I gotta hit the hay though. All right. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. or today, later today. Thanks for joining.